So guys, we are dividing, simplifying actually this rational expression here, okay? So we have negative 3 times a to the third power times b over 2 times a to the fourth power times b squared. And guess what? All raised to the fourth power. So we got two ways of doing this problem. Either we can work inside the parentheses and then after that remove it by multiplying by 4, or we can remove it first by multiplying the powers by 4, and then after that divide. So either or is fine. So we're going to do both. That's the reason why we have the same problem, okay? But we're going to do it with the two different ways. And then whichever you guys feel comfortable with, you guys are going to go for that. All right, so let's go. So then we're going inside first, right? So we're going inside, so that means what? So that means we want to work with negative 3 over 2 because these are the numbers, you know, the base that we have there. So, but is there anything in common for 3 and 2 to work on? No. All right? So it's just going to stay negative 3 over 2. Now, how about a to the third, a to the fourth? Now, these are like terms, so we want to divide them per the rule of division. When you have powers, is that you're subtracting the powers, right? But as we did with different videos before, what we do is that we move the lowest power to the largest one. So 3 is moving to the fourth. But remember, once you move the base with the power up and down, the sign changes to the opposite, okay? So that means what? So that means a fourth, and then the 3 goes down, that becomes negative 3, okay? So what about b? So for b, there's an invisible one there, always, all right? So if there's no power for any base, so that the base is a, b, c, d, x, y, z, whatever you name it, there's always an invisible one there. So what's going to happen? So that would be b second power minus 1 because the 1 is coming down because that's smaller than the 2. And what do we have then after that? We have the fourth power back, all right? So then our next move is going to be what? Is to be able to work on the powers here. So that means 4 minus 3. So we still have our negative 3 here over, so we have 2. Then we have a. 4 minus 3 is what? Is 1. Then b. 2 minus 1 is what? Is also 1. Okay? And then we still have the power 4. Now we're going to apply the power 4. And how do we do that? Remember, this one now is negative sign here, okay? Because of the negative sign, you have to be careful because you have to work it out. So now the power here is 4, which is an even number. So if you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, for example, even numbers, automatically the negative sign becomes a positive sign, automatically. But if the power is an odd number, which is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, the negative sign stays negative. All right? So then we move on to work it out. So that means this one is going to be what? Positive. Okay? So that's positive. So then 3 also has an invisible one as a power. 2 also has an invisible as a power. So what's going to happen is going to be 3 then 1 times 4. Because remember, when you have a power inside the parentheses, a power outside the parentheses, you multiply the powers together. So that means what? So that means if you have, for example, x power m, and then n outside the parentheses, that will give you what? X m times n. Always. Okay? So let's go. Then this one is over then. So it's going to be 2 what? 2, 1 times 4 is also going to be 4. A, 1 times 4 is going to give us 4. And then B, 1 times 4 is going to give us 4. No more parentheses. That's how you remove the parentheses. Okay? And then we keep going. So what's happening here? So 3 to the 4th power is what? It's 3 by 3, which is 9 by 3, 27 by 3 is 81. So we have 81 on the top over. So what's happening at the bottom? So we have 2 to the 4th power. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So you end up with 16 at the bottom here. And then a to the 4th, b to the 4th, there's nothing else that you will be combining because there's no more like terms. 81, 61 have nothing in common. So this one is just a line. And then your final answer is 81 over 16, a to the fourth power times b to the fourth power. And this is your final answer. Now we go for the second, for the same problem, with the second method, okay? So the second method says what? So instead of now working inside the parentheses first by dividing, we're working to remove the power, to remove the parentheses by using the power, right? So what's going to happen? So we have negative here, and then we have 1 as an invisible power, 1 as an invisible power, 1 as an invisible power. What did you say about the negative sign? Because this one is an even number, which is 4, automatically that becomes what? A positive answer. Okay? Just doesn't matter. Straight up. Okay? That makes your life a lot easier. So now 3, what's going to happen over here? So remember, you multiply the powers. So that'll be 1 times 4, which is 4 for the 3. What about 8 on the top? That'll be 3 by 4 is 12. Okay? And then B, that'll be what? 1 by 4 is 4. Over 2, 1 times 4 is 4. A, 4 by 4 is what? 16. And then B, 2 by 4, which is 8. So that's how you remove the parentheses in this case here. All right? So then, combining like terms, so that means in this case we divide it. So 3 and 2 have nothing in common. So the only thing you have to do is just to work out the operation. So that means 3 to the fourth power that we said already, which is going to give us what? 81. Because 3 by 3, 9, by 3, 27, by 3, 81. So this one is 81 here, okay? Over 2 to the fourth power, which is 16, because it's 2 by 2 by 2, by 2, by 2, which is 16. Now, how about A, 12, 8, 16? So what's happening here? So that means we have to do what? We gotta subtract, right? Per the rule, we gotta subtract. But in our case, what do? We move the lowest power to the largest power. That means what? 12 is moving to the 16. Yeah? So that means you have A, 16. Then because this one is a positive, once it goes down, it becomes negative 12. How about B? So B also, this is the smallest one. 4 is smaller than 8, so what's going to happen? It's going to be B, 8 minus 4, because you're moving the lowest power to the largest power, ladies and gentlemen, okay? All right, and then we still have our 81 on the top over 16 does not change. So what is changing here? The powers, because you got to do the operation. So it's going to be A, 16 minus 12 is what? Is 4, and then B, 4 minus 8, which is 8 minus 4, sorry, which is going to give you 4 as well. All right? And then this is your final answer because you cannot simplify further. And what's happening here, ladies and gentlemen, same answer, different method. So whichever is comfortable for you guys, that's what you go with. I personally doesn't mind using any one of those two. Okay? All right. Thank you.